Welcome to A Lot of Wolves, episode 28 of season 6. I'm Joshua Buckley with co-host from Baltimore, Danny Paletti. How's it going, Danny?
Here we go. Yeah.
Uh,
Are you able to drink yet?
So I haven't had anything to drink until tonight. And look at what I'm bringing out. Maker's Mark, cast strength, aged for 7 years, 2 months. It is 112.6 proof, 56.3%. So yeah, we are opening this bad boy up right now to celebrate this week.
So no easing into things, huh?
No. Come on. It's me. It's Wolves. Yeah. See, Todd says, "Hell yeah, Josh." It's not Malort, Todd, but it'll do. The sound of
wow.
whiskey popping up. Let's see. This is cast strength, so this is like a special edition. Danny, do you like Makers?
I've enjoyed Makers in the past.
Let's try it. Ooh, that'll put some hair on you. That'll give you a Rodrigo Gomez little stash. That's for sure. Danny, we were talking about it. We had no idea coming on a Tuesday that we were going to get to talk about not just one, but 2 wins. 2.
Shocking. Astounding.
Who do you think's more shocked? Wolves fans or the TV broadcasters?
I was literally just texting with Edgar about this, that I sent him the Wolves highlights. I said, Mikey sounds genuinely shocked here. And he said, oh yeah, I heard, because I had to switch to the audio for most of the second half. So I already heard it. I was like, I'm not telling you, John Champion and Graham Lasso also, like, not shocked, but like stunned. Or like,
yeah.
Both goals, they just like kind of stopped for a second, or like didn't know what to say, and we're just like,
especially the second one. They're like, and it's a deflection and a goal.
But I guess this is happening.
Yeah, but as they kept saying, Wolves still have a chance for 40 points.
Amazing.
40 points would be a good spot. Well, let's talk about it. Wolves 2, Liverpool 1. And we'll talk about Friday's game as well. But on Friday's game, when I saw that Tolu was on the bench and Armstrong was leading the front line, I said, well, I should have scheduled a meeting because this is going to be bad. Turned out not to be the case. And by God, Rob Edwards did it again. He made some other changes, though. Doc was in there. We had Krejci come back in. Wolfe made an appearance, and Angel Gomez, who I'm pretty certain is the new Mr. Glass, but he's got talent. So yeah, threw that back out there. Well, suddenly I'm thinking, well, maybe it worked for Villa with just Armstrong up top. Let's see how they did. 0-0 at halftime again, but Wolves definitely playing good defense, especially Krejci, I thought, today, with the exception of the goal.
Yeah, I mean, resolute, I think, was a word that was used a lot by John Champion. It was just like, I don't know, we'll talk about it in the other game too, but Rob Edwards has a very useful knack of going into halftime at 0-0. And for a team that doesn't create many chances, that's extremely important. I mean, we talked about it under Vitor Pereira and even under Gary O'Neill, that you just, for a team that lacks so much in creativity, you cannot be shipping goals. And so whatever other things you can say about Rob Edwards as a manager, the fact that we can get to halftime 0-0 almost every game, that's a pretty positive start for him.
Dude, I'm all behind Rob Edwards after these last 2 matches, which may be silly, but there's still 2 top 5 teams. And all we've asked really is that the players show heart, show passion. We knew what's going on here. And by God, he's got them doing it. And they were even saying on the postgame show, has there ever been a team with better vibes that is like almost a certainty to be relegated? Like, what's going on? So the first goal which was a shocker. Chichua, great long ball, and we'll talk about Chichua later, to Tolu, who had come on, and once again, great hold-up play by Tolu. He's doing so much of the dirty work that Strand Larson just would not put in this year. So this is good to see. Kind of sees out of the corner of his eye, Rodrigo Gomez is flying down the pitch. It's a nice pass to him. I thought Rodrigo actually took one too many touches with the center back closing on him. Great little flick right over the keeper, scores 1-0, limbs. I mean, what was you thinking after that, Vanny?
I mean, it was such a good goal. I mean, like the only thing you can complain about in this current Wolves team is that we just don't do it more often. We don't have the like. If he misses that chance, we're not getting another one like it. But that's why we love having.
That was the first shot on goal.
I know. Exactly. But I mean, that's why we love having Rodrigo in there, because he plays with that fearlessness that only comes from the delusion of youth. He seems to be out there just for the joy of playing. And even though his first touch was too heavy, or second touch, whichever one brought him into the box, was too heavy, I thought Allison was going to come out and smother it. Mm-hmm. And then to still, make the choice to flick it over him is pretty ballsy. And it's weird. Two things about that goal. One, I saw Dan Butler, who had written that article or written that blog post about Tolu, and you remember Tolu had responded to it. He posted up another clip from that saying, "I'm tapping the sign." It's just, it's exactly what he's talking about, which no doubt Strand Larson is probably a better finisher in more, situations, maybe a more complete player, you could say, but at the same time, he cannot give us those kinds of things that Tolu can, that kind of hold up play. And against one of the more imposing center backs in the league, against Virgil van Dijk, able to keep that ball and to slide it through to Rodrigo. And then, for Rodrigo, again, like the bravery in that, and he's just become kind of I really sound like I'm gushing at this point for a team that has 3 wins, but he's become—
We're allowed.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's become this weird cheat code. I saw someone say, it might've been Gully on Twitter, saying that like, he just gets up to speed so quickly in these games. Whereas like when he starts, tends to get kind of lost in the mix. But he comes in against a team that's already tired, and he is immediately up to speed with the rest of the players. And, and that's what you get out of him, is like a bunch of energy, and he's a very willing runner. So you can put balls through to him. And as long as you have someone competent to give it to him, we'll get chances. And, it might be the first one of the game after a whole hour of football, but
that's all you need, baby. Yep. That's the beauty of soccer, is a team can absolutely dominate you, but all you need is one shot. Just one shot. In this case, 2 shots, but sometimes just one shot. Last year, really in the past, we've had this conversation about how I'd like to see guys on a squad that are just used as like the Energizer Bunny. Those guys that come in the 60th minute, like you said, there's other tired legs, and they just go. And I had said I thought that was Adama's best role as well. It's like a basketball, the 6th man, or sometimes, in baseball, when you got a pinch hitter, somebody that just knows the situation, knows their job. Rodrigo's job, he comes in the last 30 minutes. You run at the tired legs. And I think he did really the last 2 games. That's his spot right there. I know, as frustrated as we were that Chichua was starting over him at right back, that's still looking like his spot. And honestly, today, him and Hugo on the same side, on that left side, I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll be interesting to see what we get, in the rematch on Friday, because, I think some of those subs were made sort of with an eye on that game. And so you'd imagine Hugo comes back in, what is Rob going to have to do to put out fresh players. And yeah, I don't know. It's something that we can maybe look forward to in the championship. I mean, maybe we'll talk about it, but not mathematically there yet.
I
But
need some catchability rankings.
yeah, but you could imagine, that left side of Hugo Bueno and Rodrigo Gomez potentially. And we started to see Rodrigo Gomez play a little bit further forward. I still don't think that he can really truly be a winger, but with the sort of system that we're playing right now, where you sort of have like Angel Gomez, who's like, ostensibly a midfielder, but the whole game he's pressing up with Adam Armstrong. So if it's this kind of like hybrid wide midfielder role, then maybe that suits Rodrigo Gomez more, and we don't have to rely on his defensive capabilities.
So why don't you feel like he can be a winger?
I just think that, and maybe this is more the comment that I made previously, that like from the start he tends to get lost in games. And does he think about like Jackson Chachua going forward, and his reluctance / inability to beat a man? Now he's starting to actually try, and we'll talk about that. But I think Rodrigo Gomez suffers from some of the same things, where if you put the onus on him and say, we're going to give you the ball and you have to beat, the left back or the right back, whichever, is he going to be able to do that consistently to create chances for us? I still feel like we are projecting onto him everything that Pedro Neto could do, and they're just not the same player. So I'm not sure about him being able to take on players. But again, for a player who can be slid through like he was in that goal, that is a valuable asset, especially for a team lacking in a lot of creativity and quality.
I think if you're just asking him to do 30 minutes, he can be a winger for 30 minutes. When
That's probably true.
Yeah. And I think that's his best role. You need guys like that. You don't need guys who, and I don't want to hear after these last two games, oh, Rodrigo has to start. No, keep him in this same role. This was the Sarabia issue we had last year. Sarabia would come in, make a good impact, and then it's like everybody wants him to start. It's like, well, no, it's two different things. Let's focus on Rob, I'm sure at this point has told Rodrigo, you're my guy coming off the bench to get me a fucking goal.
I think that's so interesting, because like you've mentioned that before, or like that role before, like with Sarabia, and it'd be an interesting thing to discuss with some of our British counterparts, where I feel like there's a difference in culture with like the different sports that Americans tend to pay attention to, but especially like I'm thinking like football, which has really specialized roles, and then also like baseball, which has literally players who are designated as like closers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it feels like if a player in soccer is playing well, it is assumed that they will be asking the manager, I want to be starting. Like, I'm scoring you these goals, I ought to be starting. And almost like not fair to them to say, no, your role on this team is to come on and score a goal at the end. And unless you can prove to me you can do it at the beginning, then that's what you're going to do. But it's funny, we just don't really see that. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of like someone else who fills that role.
I mean, look, the NBA gives an award to sixth man of the year, the first guy off the bench. MLB gives an award to the best relief pitcher.
Yeah.
You need those guys. You can't have all of these alphas, right? You need a guy, and credit Rodrigo. I think he's somebody that's fully embracing it. And not a lot of, like you're mentioning culture-wise, not a lot of people, I think, would embrace that, because they, like you said, they'd be like, well, I'm getting these goals. Why shouldn't I be starting? No, this is your role. Your role is you are going to be the hero at the end of the game.
The only thing I can compare it to is like Divock Origi for Liverpool. It was like there was like a year and a half stretch where his job was just to come in and score the jammiest possible goal in like the 92nd minute.
Yeah. And look, Rodrigo's becoming a cult hero by doing it. Like I said, he's such a positive dude. I'm sure he's fine with it. I can't see him going up to a manager and going, I've scored 2 goals, I need to start. He's probably like, cool. He reminds me personality-wise of what's his face from Ted Lasso, Danny, who was like, football is life. That's Rodrigo to me. They almost blew it though. We got to talk about that. And this did frustrate me at Rob because they take the lead. And really, they've been playing a certain style, still, even though they had no shots on goal, they still were kind of at least trying to mount some attacks. Once they took that lead, no, they all turned into Jackson Chichua, like running around in circles trying to kick it back. It was just the 5 minutes or whatever it was pretty maddening. And of course, it resulted in Bellegarde giving up a ball in the midfield, which Salah got. And at that point, you knew he was going to score. Like
even though he hadn't
no
scored
doubt
in like several games. He's like
yeah,
on his longest dry spell. But yeah,
you can see. I'm surprised they didn't score the second time he got it too. He just stupidly passed it. I mentioned Krejci. I thought he had a great game. That one, Salah got the best of him. But it's Salah, right? And it's a one-on-one with Salah. It's going to be tough to stop. And at that point, yeah, I had concerns that we were even going to get a point from that match.
I mean, Salah, even with kind of a dry season this year, he's still such quality. I mean, that the way he struck that ball with the outside of his boot, just like under pressure, is just, you can't take that stuff away from him. This is going to be a real selfish diatribe here, but like, I did see that giveaway from Bellegarde, and I like Bellegarde a lot. But I just immediately thought of like, what if that giveaway was executed by He Chan Wang? I would not be seeing the end of it for like a month. People would be furious. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm not here to like dig out Bellegarde for it. It was a bad fuck up. It was bad. But also like, we're playing against Liverpool, and it was a momentary lapse compared to, the first half of the season, where the momentary lapses, those moments lasted like 30 minutes at a time, where we just have like 30 minutes of being incapable of playing football. So if it's one blip against a very strong team, I'll accept that.
And I won't even put the entire blame on Bellegarde. That was clearly the game plan, because you could see them all doing it. They were like running around in circles, and I was like, whoa, are you just going to try and play keep away for 20 minutes? This is not going to go well. And it didn't. I did enjoy the picture after the game of Bellegarde, like with Andre going, save the day. Yeah, I don't blame. I don't really, but it's a great point. If Wang had done it, we would never hear the end of it, right?
Yep.
Yep. So looking decent. 6 minutes of stoppage time. Can Wolves hold on to get a point? Screw that. What a great time for Andre. All he was missing was the Brazilian kit.
That would have made it perfect.
Andre scoring his first Wolves goal. And what a goal it was. You know what, Danny? Even though it was deflected, and it probably was going to get saved if it wasn't deflected, that was still a good shot from Andre. Like, it had some power to it. It was on target. And it just shows, if you shoot, good things can happen. You don't always need to have the perfect pass or the perfect chance.
Yeah, felt incredibly lucky, and not just for the deflection, but just I remember watching the last 5 minutes or last 10 minutes of that game just looked so sluggish. I noticed this in the Villa game too, where we were tiring so much, and even Liverpool looked incredibly slow. Like one of the teams would get the ball and have seemingly acres of space in front of them. They were still just kind of like ambling up, and this was kind of like, it was a really poor clearance from Allison. Chachua just heads it down to Andre. Andre's like dribbling up to the edge of the box, looking for anyone to make a run.
He doesn't shoot.
He's thinking like, I don't score goals, guys. Like, does somebody want to try to get in a dangerous location for this? And then just decides to go for it. But yeah, sometimes things just fall for you. And Lord knows we didn't get any luck in the first 6 months of this season, so I guess we're due some.
Yeah, that's what I posted after that goal. it was about time we got some good luck there. And
Yeah,
that's what it was. It's Joe Gomez's face when it hits him and he turns around and sees it here and he's like, no! I can't
amazing.
imagine what that feeling is like as a defender when you think, all right, I got the stop, and then you turn and it was like it was a slow motion goal too. And with the way the announcers were doing it, just like with no
Yeah.
excitement whatsoever, I was like, is this going in? Is this oh my god, it went in, and they're like, in the deflection.
Yeah, the weird way that they announced it made me feel like, like sometimes they'll shoot and hit the side netting and it looks like it's gone in because the
Yeah,
ball just like
yeah,
dies right there and it sits in the corner. I was like, is this some optical illusion? Did it like actually go over or something? Like, like barely anybody was reacting except for like Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk. But
yeah.
like even some of the Wolves players, they were just so gassed. They were just kind of looking around. I'm like, did I miss something here?
Yeah. I kept waiting for like, some kind of offside. I'm like, yeah, there's got to be something for a match winner against a side like Liverpool. That was such a bad call. Again, overall, I feel like that team's one of the better broadcasting teams for
Definitely.
NBC in the EPL. But it's just as much as people complain about US broadcast, oh, they hate my team, blah blah blah. Like, nah, man, broadcasters in England, and I don't even blame them because in that country, you grow up, you are a fan of somebody.
Yeah.
It's just that's the way it is. It's very much like when you grow up in Alabama, you're either an Alabama or an Auburn fan. Like that happens. That's how it is in England. So
I
there
think
is that
they're
vibe.
yeah, I think they're also struggling. I've seen the notes that they write for these, like we've seen like Jackie Oatley's and um when we had um James who commentated on the Black Country Derby, like they have like full pages of notes, and I can't imagine that many of them are super relevant to like Wolves
Right.
beating Villa or Wolves beating Liverpool. Like, well, what do we even say about this? Like,
Yeah. God, we need Jack. Why haven't we had a Jackie Oatley game recently? I know the women's league is getting a lot more press there, but that game was screaming for Jackie Oatley. I can't wait until I get the clips to see Mikey Burrows reacting to it. I feel like that's what I needed there. Because yeah, I didn't I'm like you, Danny. I stood up. I was working at my desk and I stood up and I was like, did that happen? Like am I missing something? Just
yeah, it was
wild.
only when they panned to Rob Edwards, it's like clear that he's going crazy that
Fucking
it really hit
Rob
me.
Edwards kicking the soccer ball and running to the South Bank. You know
Surprised he
what?
didn't get booked for that. I know he didn't
I
like he didn't go on
I
the pitch, but like kicking the ball feels like that's an easy one for them to just give him a yellow card for whatever.
there's no way they saw it. That's all I can think. There's no way they saw it. He skied that thing out of Molineux, I'm sure, or
Yeah.
over to the Poncho Posse. I mean,
Yeah.
which good for him after he called out the fans, and we discussed that a lot. Like he was kind of right, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Well, I don't know if he was right, but I mean, we've seen the element that it can bring to these games in the last two. So I mean, he's getting what he asked for, and he's got to be
Mhm.
pleased about that.
And people are rewarding the fans, which God bless them. They still have been going to all these matches in this
Yep.
horrible season, which is great. I was a little worried, Danny, because I knew stoppage time would be extended because of that Andre being on the ground for 2 minutes. So little dicey, but they managed to hold on. Um, Overall, how big is this?
I mean,
If
it's
looking big picture here.
it's pretty big. I mean, like as big as it can be, it feels like, like as big as it can be for a team that's almost mathematically down. Um, I think, we were talking just before we got started here that, we have a really great schedule coming up. And I know a bunch of people posted that Opta analysis of the schedule a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. that showed that we had the second easiest schedule to end the season, and the first was Villa. And I said to you, that Villa one was probably predicated partly on the fact that they had to play Wolves and they lost that game. And Wolves being second best was probably predicated on the fact that we had to play Villa and Liverpool. We've won both of those. So for a team that felt dead and buried in November, it is the best possible situation you could kind of imagine for us at this moment. That doesn't really equate to, do we have a chance to stay up? I still think we virtually don't, but there's not really a better scenario than this one, except if we had not lost to Palace.
You ready for a hot take? I don't know if it's a hot take.
I'm ready.
Maybe it's a hot take. Wolves are going to finish 18th.
Wow.
And they're not going to be that far out from relegation. I think it's almost going to be a heartbreaker, and then people are going to hate Vitor more.
I was going to say, is that going to make it worse?
Yeah, it might. It really might. Because keep in mind, this time last year was when they had the 6-game win streak.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of setting up except we didn't have wins over Liverpool and Villa.
Maybe we're just a March, April team. What if we just are good in March and April?
Yeah, we certainly ain't good at the beginning of the season. We know this. Probably because we do our business, the last possible minute. So here's the schedule. Okay, and kind of looking at number one, Wolves are done with the top teams, those teams vying for Champions League. Okay. The best team standings wise left that they play is Brentford.
Yep.
And that's in a couple weeks on March 16th. So you have Brentford, at West Ham, at Leeds. How did we end up with 3 road games in a row? That sucks right there. Okay. Spurs at home, Sunderland at home, who is playing really well, but Brighton on the road, Fulham at home, and at Burnley. Okay. I think for sure, if Wolves have a chance to survive, you have to win 4 of those. You have to win West Ham, Leeds, Burnley, probably Sunderland, and you need points, or maybe Spurs. And you need at least a draw from those. I think they can afford to lose maybe one match just lose, flat out lose. Maybe one. Because if you look at the other schedules, I mean, there's a lot of Chelsea's and Man City, and we joke, but Man United's in a Champions League spot right now, and we don't have to play any of those. The only real interesting game we're going to have to watch is Burnley and Forest here in a couple weeks, and we just need a draw from that, I think.
Or worst case scenario, or Burnley winning.
Or Burnley winning.
Yeah.
We're going to pass Burnley. I'm calling it now. The way this team is playing, and with that,
clip that.
Clip it. Book it. I think we're going to finish 18th, which is going to suck. But at the same time, if the team, I understand it's going to be a different team. There's going to be different players. If we have a team that's playing in cohesion like that in the championship next year, we're winning the championship.
I mean, I think that to revise my previous answer about how important this is, it is important, but not for the reasons that I gave. It's not about survival, which, is still a minuscule chance, even if it's not 0. But I think they even said this on the broadcast that, or maybe it was afterwards, maybe it was like, Robbie Earle or someone saying like, for a team to go down and have this kind of belief is a huge asset. Now, obviously there's still a lot of unknowns about transfer activity, and Lord knows Fosun could still mess that up. But you'd way rather go into the new season with this kind of wind at your back rather than, stumbling along as we have been. I think like for the last few weeks, we thought we'll get past the 11 points. It'll be fine, but that's not really enough to galvanize a fan base that's been so like crushed over the past few years. And so to finish out the season strong, I think will hopefully give people some kind of hope for the coming season. It would be a real heartbreaker if ended up still alive, like at the Fulham game or something, like the second to last. Because then you're really, I mean, the fury will really be on Vitor Pereira and Jeff Shee at that point, which is that, like, this team, you could have not messed up completely. And also, Jeff Shee, you could have gotten rid of Vitor Pereira after Leeds, like, so there will be,
or had any kind of strategy in the
yeah.
transfer window.
So there will be renewed fury, but even so, I think, like, to finish the season strong and to go into next season with some real hope, because I think that's been the frustrating part, is feeling like, can we even, muster something next season? Like, Jeff Shee sounded real confident that we'd come right back up, but that's not a given for anyone. So
no. That's going to be interesting for us Americans to watch this, for a lot of us to watch this first, like, what it's like in the championship. But we'll see. By the way, I loved you retweeted it. I retweeted it at _Zeets on February 27th, who said Wolves are going to get relegated, but they're going to make sure to ruin everyone else's season as well, spreading the misery. Chef's kiss.
I also retweeted a very similar piece of content, which I think was actually from after the Villa game, but it was reposted today, which is Wolves try to ruin everyone else's season on their way out. And it's that clip from, like, a Mario Kart where the player, I think they're playing as Luigi, but they, like, pull off on the side. They're just, like, shooting shells at people going by.
Man, Pep has to love us right now. He's probably gonna a couple more. Well, I guess they don't play.
Don't even get started, because every other week it's someone else. City were loving us before. Now it's United. These are not friends that I want. To be realistic, I do not want the praise from United fans. Although a great piece of content from a United account today, which was that Spurs need to sacrifice their Premier League spot for Wolves for the good of football next season. I think that's absolutely true.
Oh my goodness. That would be nuts. Part of me wants to see Spurs go down, but another part of me doesn't, because they're going to spend $8 gazillion to get back in the Premier League.
Yeah, they'll probably buy Mane for $60 million or something.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Drew from Pittsburgh writes, Raul penalty ends Wolves season. That you want to talk about being pissed at
Get out of here. You'd hope he'd missed it on purpose, right? Fulham are safe.
Is that, hold on, is that game, it's at Wolverhampton. I can't see Raul doing that. If Wolves have a possibility, because that's the next to last match. Yeah, I could see Raul not even wanting to take it, honestly.
Oh my god. I genuinely, that seems possible. I don't think he'd miss it on purpose, but I could very easily imagine, assuming Fulham have nothing to play for, which is very likely, him getting someone else to take it.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know.
I'd be fascinated.
I want him to come back. Even, I think if we paid him enough, there might be a chance he'd come and play for us in the champion. I know. Look, again, I haven't had a drink since the middle of January, and I am drinking Maker's Mark Cast Strength. That is, yes, indeed, 112.5
Oh,
proof.
Lord.
Raul coming to Wolves in the championship to lead us up. Hey, there was a fun game on Friday, too. Let's talk about it. Wolves 2, Aston Villa 0. I was a little worried, Danny, that Wolves had won that match, and then we'd have this Liverpool one, and we'd be like, okay, let's not even talk about Liverpool. Let's talk about that. Who knew? But that game was really interesting as well, with the fact Toady was back in the match. Once again, that was the first one without Tolu starting. And I just looked at that. I looked at that lineup and had zero faith. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think my read of Tolu being dropped was just the fallout from the racist abuse that he received at the Palace game, which obviously was disappointing and I guess not surprising, but disgusting anyway. And so maybe protecting him a bit. I mean, there was no whisper of any kind of injury or anything. So it's either that or it was purely tactical. And I think for the same reason as you, I had my concerns about that. Adam Armstrong has done some good things for Wolves since he's come in. To the
He's
extent
not a goal scorer.
yeah,
I think we're noticing that.
but he's been contributing at the same time, just in terms of leading the line in the way that we've been playing. I think a lot of us can be forgiven for not really seeing the vision. And I'll say, even in that Villa game, it was not immediately obvious until the first goal. But once we got to the Liverpool game, it kind of became obvious, what his value is in this team when we don't have Tolu starting. So, I mean, we'll always say that it's good to have different options. I don't know that having Adam Armstrong up top as our sole striker is like one of the best options in the world for a team that's already not that strong. But if it's
worked in back-to-back games, who are we to question it?
Exactly.
Armstrong played a key role in that first goal, which was, well, I love how the last two matches are Brazilian midfielders who don't even give a poo about scoring. Have both scored great goals. Chichua as well had a nice cross into the box, nice and early. Armstrong trapped it, got it to late arriving Zhao for the goal. That was really exciting. But Chichua, did he like suddenly get hypnotized? Like, you can pass the ball forward?
I don't know. We need a whole like behind the scenes video from Wolves on this to suss it out. But I think a lot of people have pointed out how different his performance was in the second half versus the first half. There was that clip going around of Edwards pulling Chacho over the sideline during a small break in play and gesturing wildly, the inside of the pitch, like that inside diagonal lane. And I think people are reading into it a lot, saying that Edwards really giving him the belief. But I think something I was texting with a friend is that I feel like Chacho is still, in my opinion, a serious downgrade on Semedo. So that caveat aside, I still think that we have not even seen what he's particularly capable of. We've seen that he can run very fast, but in terms of what he is capable of doing, if he actually believed in his abilities, I feel like we haven't even seen that. So we're all just saying this guy's a shit footballer based on he doesn't do anything. Maybe he does something and he does it poorly, and then we can say he's bad. And I'll still say again that he's a downgrade, but these moments show us that there's a player that could do something for Wolves, even if he's very limited. Same thing with Adam Armstrong is a great example. We all know the limitations Adam Armstrong has, but he still can contribute in various ways. And I feel like Chachu is the same way.
Need in the championship, you're not going to have stars. You need those guys that are going to fill roles to make you successful as a team. Again, I've felt like with Chichua's speed, it's like Sydney Sweeney going into an interview with a winter coat on. What are we doing here? Take on somebody. So it is nice to see him doing that. Maybe Sydney's taking off the coat and she's just got the turtleneck on, or the sweater like you do. That's a good look, Danny. Is it cold up there?
It snowed 2 days ago, so yes. But it's going to be 70 degrees this weekend, so it's fine.
It was 84 today.
Oh my God. You guys live on the sun.
Yeah, it's going to be an awful summer. I digress. So 1-0. It's a torrential rainstorm. Can they hold on? Well, hell, they got a second goal. And thanks to our boy, Rodrigo Gomez, that was the loudest Molineux had probably been this season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. That one was not to be too, nostalgic about something that wasn't that long ago, but, the Molineux of old, and it's no surprise that sort of derby style game, even if it's not the derby. And Molineux under the lights, and that first game of the weekend is always kind of there's a little bit of tension in the air, and I don't know. It's also just we always play well against Villa. I don't know why, Unai Emery has never won at Molineux, even when he was with Arsenal. I mean, to be fair, Arsenal were pretty terrible during that era, but even so, I mean, is anybody going to be happier than Villa fans and Unai Emery to see us get relegated? No matter how bad we are, and no matter how good they are, they seem to struggle so much at Molineux.
Those derbies, man, they're levelers. Can't predict it. So Joe Deluski, who was on the preview match for this, talked about that the Premier League alternate derby, as he said, derby, was in attendance. What a time to be sitting there filming Michigan Wolves. So that episode is dropping on March 10th. He believes it's going to be on the Premier League's normal channels since his YouTube. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Just really exciting. It's kind of dumb luck to be filming that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I bet they wish that they had done it a few days later and done it for the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a good choice to do that. Even though, like I said, Villa isn't sort of the recognized you know, main rivalry of Wolves. It's still like, it's got that flavor of it. And even though it was kind of a bummer that they had to switch it obviously to Friday for the broadcast, still, again, that energy of the first game of the weekend, and they still they got a very good crowd. I think he said 55 people showed up, and knowing Joe, that might be even an undercount. Because he's a careful guy, but it looked great. I saw a video going around of it, and obviously, you know, it's the whole floor of a fairly big bar and restaurant, just packed out with Wolves fans. There's merchandise there. Got a picture of them. I assume this is from after the from after the win.
I can't imagine it was beforehand.
Yeah. I see a lot of nearly empty Guinnesses in there. Yeah. And front and center in the middle there is Glenn Nenninger with the Guinness aloft. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I was hoping to get him on tonight to talk about it, to talk about the experience. But when I texted him, he was in London because he was going to this Liverpool game. So he's just had quite a week.
Keep him there. That's what our buddy Stu said. Got to keep him there because bringing those good vibes. Again, there's going to be Premier League mornings coming up in Tampa Bay. Some of those people that were in Michigan are going. Others are going as well. That's going to be for the Leeds game on April 18th. So if you are interested, you can reach out to us, to Joe Deluski on Twitter or Facebook, get some more info. They're starting to talk where they're staying. You are going to have to get tickets on the NBC Premier League site. So could be fun. I'm probably not going to be able to make it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll make a surprise, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, we're both still up in the air, but yeah, Joe was saying that, you know, the club, you know, he's obviously been in touch with the club over this Premier League documentary that they just did. And they're talking about sending a person out, which they've done in the past. And I'm sure that it has entirely to do with, you know, just if there's going to be a crowd there, and if there is a crowd, that they'll probably send someone because they have in the past. And, you know, I think there's reason to be cautious that people might not show up because, you know, the team is likely going to be relegated. Now it's not looking, you know, like it'll be the worst weekend for it. But, you know, already there's going to be a decent crowd there. I saw some names, you know, the Copies are going. I think Andrew Smith is going.
Oh, there's Joe. Joe says tickets are free. You just have to register.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. You just have to register, just like we did when we went to Nashville, and you probably have to download their stupid app, which won't give you the information that you want at all. It'll have like a horrible 2-dimensional map of the site. But yeah, it'll be a good time regardless. There's going to be a decent crowd of Wolves fans there, I think, you know, as any time. And honestly, what better time to go and, you know, drown your sorrows with other Wolves fans, you know. Might not win any more games this season, might not win that weekend, but you know, it's it's honestly a little bit of upswing in form has really started to like salvage at least the vibes of this season, if not the actual result of it.
Yeah, I was starting to think that that might be the weekend we were officially relegated. Now I'm not so sure. If you've never been to Premier League mornings, it's a lot of fun. And this is probably the last time, maybe for a year, maybe for longer. We don't know. So, hey, take advantage of it. One other thing to know, you do need to register for each person. You can't just register for like 4 tickets,
Yeah.
which I almost screwed up on in Nashville. So
And typically there's kind of no limit. I'm sure that there actually is a hard limit on attendance. You still have to register in order to get in, but it's not like tickets are going fast or whatever. Make sure you do it early so that there's no problem. But for the most part, they're just trying to get a head count.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we got Liverpool once more, Danny, and that's going to be on Friday. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. Who knows what Fort Lauderdale time? I don't know. There's even a time change. Maybe now Fort Lauderdale will be on our time zone.
Fort Lauderdale might be on UK time zone after the time change.
I haven't seen that them tweeting out the worldwide times lately. Maybe
they have been. It just gets buried, but yeah.
Anyways, I thought before this match that was going to be the one Wolves really concentrated on. Now I think they'll probably go in with the same strategy or similar effort, I'll say. But does Liverpool come out a little more fired up after today?
They simply have to. I was actually texting with a Liverpool supporting friend of mine afterwards.
Bless your heart.
I know. Well, I mean, obviously had to send him something. But I said, like, what do you think? Does Slot lose his job? Not over this one result, but it hasn't been great and whatever. And he said he thinks not. And I said, well, what about if they finish the season without Champions League? And I think in the summer, who knows? I think
how much money they spent.
Oh. Yeah, I do think that typically their ownership aren't quite as trigger happy as other ones, but at the same time, I mean, missing out on Champions League would be a big deal. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it feels like a must win just in terms of like his reputation and like the players too. Like their focus is going to be on getting top 4, but still they're going to want to win the FA Cup. That's another, is it a decent enough route to European football? Just get to Europa League, right? But like still, it's just like you can't lose to the worst team in the league twice in a week, right? Like I just can't imagine that that would look good for anyone.
It'll be interesting. What type of lineup do you think they throw out? Do you think they throw out an all-starters lineup?
Liverpool?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have to. I just think like I don't know. I kind of can't see around the idea that they can like sit this one out. Again, it will look bad for Liverpool to like put in partial effort when they just got embarrassed. I mean, that's something I said like a couple months ago, which is that like one of our great strengths right now is that everyone feels nervous because no one wants to lose to the worst team in the league.
We've been there. We've lost to the worst team.
We have been that team losing the worst team in the league constantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that it'll be like Wolves changes today, where there might be some changes, but it will be largely a starter strength team, even if it's not like technically the team that started their last like game. I don't know.
Keep in mind they have a Champions League game Tuesday on the road.
Yep.
Against a team that's in first place in the Turkish league. I mean, I don't know. One way to claim Champions League is to win the Champions League, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I still don't understand. Liverpool won the league last year, and they spent so much money and got rid of a bunch of guys. Like, I just did not understand this. And so I'm kind of glad it's really bitten them in the ass this year. Like, I get you worry about a squad getting stale, but the amount of moves they made just made no sense to me at the time.
Yeah, some of them have started to come good. They didn't show it much in this game today, but there's something there. But at the same time, again, it's kind of just like that ego thing. I feel like again, like I keep returning to, like, you can't put out a weakened team against Wolves after you just lost to them. And as for Wolves, I think we kind of already know we're going to go back to the team that we played probably against Villa or something close to it. I do wonder if Edwards tries to throw a slight curveball, and that might be in the form of like Tolu starting instead of Armstrong, and there's a slight change in like approach or something, because like, are you really going to find them out twice with the same trick with a team that's not that strong? So that's the kind of change I would expect, is like a small change that would change our approach. But apart from that,
Todd says, let's win the cup and go on a European adventure. How's this? What do you think the odds? I'm the bookkeeper, but I would love to see the odds on Wolves getting relegated, but winning the FA Cup, and next year winning Europa, but staying in the championship. So we could be a Champions League
impossible.
team. Nothing's impossible. Leicester City won the league at plus whatever it was, 100,000 or whatever.
So going down and getting European football has happened before. I believe it was Wigan that did that. But I have to say that I think what you really underestimate is how packed the championship schedule is already.
Yeah.
And then to add in European games, and that's like, you're really asking, like, you're basically going to have to fund yourself like a European level team in the Premier League while playing in the championship in order to just handle all those different games.
I'm sure Fosun would be up for it, right? What did Todd said? Birmingham got relegated and won the FA Cup. It's doable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That part is doable. It's just the second part of winning the Europa League that's impossible.
While still staying in the championship.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
That's not happening. What if it does? What will you do, Danny, if it does?
I don't know.
Will you go jump in that nasty ass polluted bay of Baltimore?
They've been cleaning it up, you can.
Oh, have they?
Technically swim in it sometimes.
I don't know, man. There was a lot of trash when I liked Baltimore too, but when we were on the bay, I was like, I don't know about that. Okay, let's look at the prediction. Say we didn't do Liverpool, but I'm sure we all would have picked losses for them. And by all, I mean both of us. So I'm just giving us zeros for those. Somebody predicted a win, though.
Wow.
Against Villa.
Wow.
It was me. It was me. Kind of in jest. But I have 27 points. You are 8 points behind me. But let's see. 3 times 24. Hey, I mean, you're still 33 points possible. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. So what do you think from this FA Cup match, Danny?
Well, now you got to put your money where your mouth is when we get back to the league predictions, because now you're talking about us getting 6 or 7 wins for the rest of the season. So time to start predicting those wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's impossible not to feel a little pessimistic about the result here, that if you're going to play Liverpool twice in 1 week with this team, that winning even once is pretty optimistic, and winning twice just feels impossible. So let's go for a 1-1 draw and Liverpool win on penalties.
Penalties? Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. And I hate it because that means you can't catch me, but at the same time I don't. Yeah, I'm going to say, man, we had no shots. We had 2 shots on goal and we scored. And one was a deflection.
That's all you need.
Yeah, I'll go 1-1 draw. But you know what? I'll play fun. Wolves win in the shootout.
Well, why not?
I don't know how that would be possible.
when we have like 0 penalty takers.
You know what? Yeah. 2-1 Wolves. Let's do it again. 2-1 Wolves. Again, this cask string aged for 7 years and 2 months. Yeah. 56.3% alcohol.
Yeah.
This is my first drink that I've had since I was in Vegas for the Chicago Bears winning over the Green Bay Packers.
Amazing.
And if you follow Twitter, you saw the video of that. So there we go. I don't think I'll be doing that tonight.
There we go, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to our favorite part of the show. It's No Stupid Questions, that part of the show where you can ask anything about this wonderful club that we support. Extra wonderful this week. You can always email us at wholelotofwolves@gmail.com or reach us at x/Twitter at WLWpod. Or you can tweet at either one of us at any time, probably. And if you're watching on the live stream now, try to take some questions as they come in. Of course, the always reliable Drew Freakin. Do you have a favorite Rodrigo moment aside from meeting his girlfriend in Annapolis? Of course.
I mean, it's tough to top that, right? By the way, is his wife going to be? I mean, she's going to be an Ariana Grande song tomorrow, "Walking Side to Side." Let's be honest.
You can't go any further than that, Josh. I'm giving you one warning.
Before I get a red card.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be doing this show on my own next week.
Man, that was that's pretty tough to beat, was today's moment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just with everything going on. By the way, his interview afterwards was fantastic too.
Yep. Yeah, I would say the one that I immediately thought of is obviously the game that you were over there for against Leicester, where he had that long run and scored.
Oh,
but in particular, the thing that I remember was after the game, and obviously he's out on like his girlfriend has come down to the pitch and they're standing there holding hands or whatever. And I remember JSL running over to them and doing the heart thing, like running around them, doing the heart thing to both of them. I love knowing that they take the piss out of him for all that.
Just like we do. See, they're remember when we were in Baltimore for the Orioles game and we talked to Tom King and Tommy Doyle and Matt Doherty afterwards, and we talked about how we have a podcast, and they said, Tom King was like, well, what do you guys talk about? I said, we just drink and talk Wolves. And he goes, oh, that's what we do. So I really think a lot of these same conversations we have, like about Rodrigo, guaranteed they all talk about it too. I guarantee you, as much as you don't like it, there was a Rodrigo having sex with his wife comment.
God, Josh, why?
Alex, throw an E on it. Throw an E on it.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's move on from that and see what else Drew Freakin had to say. Will Andre leave Wolves with the all-time highest shooting percentage, 1 career shot on target, 1 goal?
Was that considered a shot on target? I guess it was. No, man, he's gonna have a heat check. He's totally gonna have some shot attempt that's gonna like blaze over into the
he's had some bad
Poncho
shots.
squad. Yeah.
I also want to point out, I guess, to tag on to the Rodrigo talk, he's now our top goal scorer. I can't remember if we gave odds on that one, but yeah, he's on 3 goals right now. He's our top Premier League goal scorer. Do you think he's going to get dislodged from that title?
No, because I think he's got another.
The other ones with 2 goals.
He's got another 2 goals in him, baby. And they're all his substitutes.
Goals are 2 of them are center backs. Are Krejci, Bueno, Hichan, Tolu, and Mateus Mane.
Here's what would be even crazier: to have a guy lead the team in goals, and he's not even a starter.
And Rodrigo he's also injured for half the season.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was that first goal he scored, was that on as a substitute? I want to say it was.
It had to have been. I don't remember
Yeah.
it, but
Can you imagine? This is again, it's so Wolves. The leading scorer scores all of his goals as a substitute.
maybe he's the Portuguese Divock Origi. Who knew?
Oh, fucking Jeff Shee, man. I hate that guy.
All right. Well,
Todd's in the chat. We need some type of question.
You're
Right?
putting him on the spot here.
Okay, so here I'll ask one, Danny.
Okay.
I'm going on vacation for my 10th anniversary, starting on Thursday. Going, brave the cartel violence in Mexico. But I'm on the east side. It'll be fine. What vacation spots do you think are the most popular amongst the players? Assuming, because some of these guys, they're from Brazil. Well, that shouldn't count as a vacation spot. Where do guys in Brazil vacation?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you mean
do they go to a cold environment? Do they go to the beach?
I assume you mean like when they're still in Brazil, like for the players who like haven't really
right.
Like left the country yet, like before John Arias came over. Where's he vacationing?
Yeah, if you live in Rio de Janeiro, it's not like you want to really go vacation with a beach because you have a beach there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm being very interested to see. Maybe just go to a different beach. Brazil's a huge country, so maybe it's like us, you go to Florida to vacation. And if you live in Bahia, you go down to Rio for vacation. I don't know.
So you think they still stay warm environment, or do they like?
Probably they can't. They don't like to handle the cold. Why would they want that?
That's true. Not
Drew from Pittsburgh says Dubai. I'll tell you, they're not going to Dubai right now. All right, Todd has come through for us and asks, which Wolves players do you think would be able to pick up a 7-10 split? I love that question.
Good bowlers. I can see Rodrigo being a great bowler.
Yeah, I buy that.
Well, he's got it's either two things. Either he's a great bowler or he still manages to throw a gutter ball with the bumpers on.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah, that's probably true. I could see I'm seeing like Krejci. First of all, good at penalties, so keen eye. I think he's a pretty steady personality. I think there are some players on there that like immediately spring to mind as being bad bowlers. I think Andre goes with too much power, and so
ends up with it in the ceiling tile.
Yes, exactly.
Tolu, when he throws it, he has such a big zip that it ends up in the other lane.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Tolu. I for some reason foresee him like thinking I'm gonna be clever and like put a bunch of spin on this, but then it's just like if you don't know what you're doing, just immediately cover ball. I could see Adam Armstrong being a decent bowler, low center of gravity. Even if he has to do the between the legs grandma bowling, I feel like he might be pretty good at it.
By the way, as a former state champion of bowling in the 3rd grade, I still have my patch.
Oh my goodness.
It's true. State champion bowler in Alabama, first place winner. It always laughs. I always laugh when you see these guys that, especially if they're on a date and they get the alley bowling ball and they're like trying to throw it with spin and stuff. It's like, you do realize that those balls are meant not to have spin. The spin balls are the polyurethane balls.
I learned something new every podcast review, Josh.
I laugh so much because they're trying to spin it like that. No, the polyurethane balls have the natural spin with it. So, I was an all-state bowler until I broke my arm getting knocked off of a horse, but that's a whole different story. So,
I can't believe we didn't go bowling while you were here because we only played duck pin bowling here. Have you ever played duck pin bowling?
I have not played duck pin bowling.
So duck pin bowling has pins that are shorter and fatter, and also a ball that is like a bit larger than a shot put. So it's like can fit in a single hand. And it is one of the most infuriating versions of bowling because the ball is small enough that if you hit like two of the pins that are right in front of each other, you might knock just those 2 pins back, and like a person with a tooth missing, there's just like a hole. And you can send a ball straight through that hole and not touch any other pins. Whereas like in traditional bowling, the ball is too wide to go between any 2 sets of pins.
Yeah.
But it's like what all the like 80-year-olds in Baltimore play is duck pin bowling. But
I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, I was a stud. I bowled a 140 average as a 10-year-old.
I promise you, you're gonna struggle to break triple digits in duck pin bowling.
Yeah, I probably would. I can still pick up a ball, and I even have a little bit of a torn labrum. I can still easily hit, triple digits.
Wow.
I can do that with my eyes closed, but
wow.
That's the one athletic ability I still have left. Although, haven't tried it with the new hips, so we'll have to see.
Stay tuned after the international break for our bowling podcast soon to come.
Pete Weber, the GOAT.
Yeah. All right, that should wrap it up. Thanks for everyone.
Oh, by the way, Paramount Plus of the week. I'm
getting to it. Thanks for everyone sending questions. Make sure to send us questions at wholelotofwolves@gmail.com, or you can tweet at either of us. Now, Josh, what is our Paramount Plus watch of the week?
So here's the problem. I didn't pick one because there's not going to be a Paramount Plus.
I know.
Next year. It came out that, obviously Warner Brothers is buying them up. So the news now is that it's going to merge into HBO Max. The question to me is, are we going to see, does that contract carry over to HBO? I would guess so, but I don't know. Drew says, so Josh was 10 in the 3rd grade. How old was I? Now, let's see.
What'd you do the math on that one? Our continuing struggle to not inject politics at every turn is really being thwarted by government media takeovers, and also players vacationing in Dubai being a dodgy subject. So we appreciate your candor at all times. So Paramount Plus Watch of the Week is going to go on hiatus until we know what the platform is even going to be, because who knows?
I mean, if you're looking at HBO Max, there's a really good documentary on Movie Pass and how it went from just an unbelievable platform to desperately out of business, which you could see coming from a mile away. Especially one of my buddies who literally had Movie Pass and went to a movie 5 days a week, every week. It was fantastic. Yeah. No, so I was 8. I was 8.
Right. Like most people.
Yeah. Well, you gotta do.
Unless you got hauled back a few times.
Did you know this was like a brand new bottle that came in? This is pretty cool.
Oh, I mean, this is we're already over time, but who cares? We just had 2 wins. We can do whatever we want.
In a row.
I didn't get to tell you and everyone else that the Villa game happened to be on the same day that we were hosting a cocktail party. It's very similar to the Arsenal away game that we lost 2-1 despite scoring all 3 goals back in December. We were hosting a party, and I was like sitting there like preparing garnishes for drinks while watching this game and trying not to cut myself with a knife. But it did mean that afterwards I had several Manhattans, tequila sunrises. We were doing some sort of like classic cocktails, nice. a gin punch, which was really good. Lots of little things. And we also did like same era, like canapes. So, your pigs and blankets, your deviled eggs, etc. Pretty good way to celebrate a derby win. Although I had too many responsibilities the next day, but I went right up to the limit. I'll say that.
I'm about to go make a Manhattan myself, actually, because that was my grandfather's favorite drink, and today would have been his 93rd birthday.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he probably would be horrified that I watch soccer all the time because he was
be very confused about what you're doing right now.
You know what though? When I was a sports writer, he read every single one of my articles. Him and my grandma. I have like notebooks where they literally cut out every single article and put it for me
So you're
memorized.
saying he'd be in the chat right now?
Yeah, if he could figure it out. I mean,
Right.
I had to tell him when he bought his first computer that it's okay to save a Word document because it's like this in the giant house.
Yeah.
So, but we're gonna be that way at some point,
Oh,
Danny. We're gonna be
100%.
old people and like, football's gone because of set pieces.
All right. Yeah, we got to stop before I start really ranting about the younger generation. All right. that was our No Stupid Questions and our Paramount Plus Watch of the Week, which who knows if that segment's coming back because we don't rightly know.
I'll come up with an HBO Max watch of the week, so get ready.
Yeah, except it'll have to be rebranded every time they change their name. So I'll add once again, like I said the last couple of weeks, that if you're involved in a local Wolves supporters group anywhere in North America, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line at our email, wholelotofwolves@gmail.com, or send either of us a DM or something. Just want to hear from you and where you guys meet up, what kind of group you have. Happy to shout you out on the podcast, let people know where and when you are planning to meet up. And with that, I'll also say thanks to Alex producing the show as always. We will be back on March 11th, which is a Wednesday, to discuss the results of this cup game and to preview the Brentford game before a nice big break for Wolves. You'd be doing us a huge favor, as always, helping to grow a whole lot of Wolves by giving us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, smash the follow button on Twitter or whatever. Smash everything.
Rodrigo Gomez is familiar with the smashing.
All right. Smash everything. Smash the Villa. Smash Liverpool. And finally, as Podfather Emeritus, Paul would say, up the mighty Wolves.